MMA is closer to WWE, WWF, wrestling than it is anything to do with real violence. And if you give me a couple minutes, I can prove it to you before you start coming for me in the comments. I'm not dragging either. I'm a fan, but we see it all the time and everywhere in the martial arts community as if MMA would be the hierarchy of what will work. People have a fundamental misunderstanding of what real violence is and what MMA is. And to be clear, martial arts isn't violence either. None of them are. Violence is violence. MMA is MMA. Martial arts is martial arts. But it's closer to wrestling than it is violence. The biggest takeaway, I just give it to you right out, straight up front. These people, while very skilled endurance athletes, have a list of rules that they have to follow. You know this. What you may not know is they also have contractual obligations that they have to meet. If you were paying attention during the Floyd Paul fight, what happened afterward, everybody got to hear those contractual stipulations. If he didn't go all the rounds, he didn't get paid as much. Very, very, very common. Super common. A lot of these people are subcontractors, independent contractors. Some of these people are employees. Depends on where you go and what you're doing. But they all have these contracts where they have to fulfill obligations, like how many rounds they're going to fight for. Totally opposite of everything real violence, where both the bad guy is trying to get in and get out as quick as he can, and the good guy is trying to get in, get out, or get him to get out as quick as he can. I'm not dragging either because it takes a very skilled individual to be a wrestler and jump off of a high rope onto another man's neck and not hurt him. It's controlled and talent. And they're really hitting each other. They're just controlling their strikes. MMA, very similarly, they're really hitting each other and hard and trying to get a knockout, but they're trying to elongate the matches, elongate the fight, and make it through each of the rounds. Depending on their contract, it's going to look different, but they're not trying to leave, and they've agreed to a whole bunch of stuff they won't do. In many ways, MMA is one of the hardest endeavors you can do because you've got to be a real endurance athlete and make the fight last longer without making the fight look like you're trying to make it last longer. Every fight promoter out there saying these guys really hate each other. It's not that that doesn't happen. It's just not. Every guy doesn't hate each other. They're trying to sell you tickets. They want you to watch for longer. And anytime you see a knockout in the first 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, everybody's cheering. Wow, that was amazing. Did you see how fast he did that? Everybody on the other side is going, no, we just lost a bunch of money because they did. Now, not to mention the prep time. It's considered short notice if you take on a fight in under 3 months. Some guys will take it on with days or weeks notice, and that's just insane. That means they're staying fight fit all year long, and that's commendable. But usually these guys have a long time to build up. And what you don't see is that their camps are studying the fight footage of their opponent, breaking down every telegraph, every move that they've ever done, what side they favor, the locks that they favor, and they're exploring the weaknesses while staying cognizant that the other side is doing the same thing and trying to make it look on film like they have weaknesses that they don't. I love that. It's very Sun Tzu, and all warfare is based in deception. But could you imagine getting all of the previous attack footage from the guy who tries to kick in your front door or carjack you months ahead of time, like just delivered to you so you can watch? He does this, and then he does this, and he's very commonly doing it. I'm a fan, but we cannot use MMA as any type of comparative to why wouldn't that work in MMA? Why wouldn't this thing in karate be seen in MMA? Because there's a list of rules, and when you're watching an instructor go over anything, he's giving you options. Like the difference between a layup and a slam dunk. It takes skill to do both, but what are you good at? How much time are you going to dedicate to get there? And the instructor or coach is just going through a walkthrough of how to do it. Don't get me wrong. MMA crew, all of those people, they're bad mamma jammas. I mean, hella hard to fight because anybody who can fight for 15 to 25 minutes straight is insane. But you don't need to fight that long when it's real, because elbowing somebody on the throat, smashing their head into a wall, and jumping up and down on their head like it's a trampoline is, well, there's a lot of applications that you'll learn in martial arts for that kind of a thing. And you could do it if somebody's really attacking you, but not in the ring. Originally with boxing, did you know it was considered to be the gentleman's sport? Because they listed all of these rules that they would adhere to. And they weren't throwing elbows or knees. People knew about those long, long, long ago, not just in the eastern side of the world, but in our country too. It was a gentleman's sport because they were only going to do it with their two fists and tactics and good footwork and a lot of endurance. I'm a fan, but it's closer to wrestling than it is real violence. If you haven't read the works of Sergeant Roy Miller, Meditations on Violence, Facing Violence, 72 Practical Drills, phenomenal work. If you want to know what real violence is, that man spells it all out, 100%. It will leave you with no doubt. Not only does he know what he's talking about, but that right there is what real violence looks like, why it's so scary, and many things that you can do about it. And the type of martial arts schools you should be looking into, the type of training that they do to make it so that you are practically prepared and ready to defend yourself. I'm Instructor Thompson, my self-defense studio.